figure out what I'm going to do here. Now, how is that scar? Come on. I think you just went online. Which one came out after Lion King? So it had to be Scar, obviously. But the thing about Scar was, since he was called Scar, that was in the script, where was this thing going to be, the scar? You know, it could have been on his shoulder, over his leg, and we actually had a meeting about that. And I said, well, if it's on his leg, you don't see the scar in close-up scenes. So I said, it has to be somewhere in his face. So we always see the close-ups and in long shots. And then I placed it over this one eyebrow unit, and thought maybe he was in a fight with Mufasa or some other lion and got clawed, and the claw barely missed his eyeball, but kind of sort of crushed his eyebrow, or left a mark. So that's why that is. But these are the things you have meetings about. So yeah, that's actually the way to finish this up. I thought, what if we do this with the scar, and then it got picked up again at the lower end of the eye unit, and then that's where it stayed, and where it ended up being. So what I actually tried to do on purpose with the design of this character, especially in his face, was I really tried to do a caricature of Jeremy Irons, even though this was going to be a lion, an animated lion, but I thought there was something when you see photos of Jeremy Irons or even footage, he's got these dark circles under his eyes, maybe because he smokes a lot, and so I kept that. This in color is kind of dark around his eyes, and also this mouth configuration, sort of also the way he talks, and it was funny because there was a time where we needed to record him for the battle, the end of the film. We hadn't done the voice recording yet, and he couldn't come to Burbank because he was working in London in theater, and so we went over there and rented a studio and recorded that. And I brought a sequence with me on video in pencil test form, where Scar is setting Simba up on the rock, saying like, "Your father has the surprise for you. You stay right here." That whole thing was animated, and I was just going to show it to him because he hadn't seen any final footage yet, and he had no idea what I would do with his voice. So until then, and so we popped in the cassette before we did the recording of him, and he looked at the thing and oh my God, he looks like me. Like this. And I said, well, that was kind of on purpose, and I hope that's okay. And he said, yeah, of course, but he was just fascinated that we were able to capture his expressions and the way he talked, things like that. But the other rather funny thing that happened during that recording session was, well, the way he liked to work is, this was his first, I think, and only animated voice. He's never done one since. But he loved it because it was all just voice only. There was no hair and makeup and costume, none of that. He comes in his jeans and t-shirt, and he would sit on this high chair in front of the microphone. He would take his shoes off, be just in socks, really comfy, but he would smoke. So next time you see The Lion King, just imagine that there's smoke going on, And he would just light up a cigarette and he would just say, "Simba, you're in trouble now." That is basically how it went, And then he would ask us, "How was that?" I said, "Oh my God, it was amazing, just amazing." So we did the whole recording session. Everybody was happy. And before we were going to leave and call it a day, the guy in the sound booth comes in and says, "Before you guys break it up, we have to listen to some of this that we just recorded." So he played it back, and there was his great acting and all that. And there was a little growl going throughout the whole recording, a quiet growl. And it wasn't like that he was trying to sound like a lion or anything. It was his stomach. And he said, "I am so sorry." He said, "I haven't had lunch, and I guess I was just hungry. I was going to have a nice dinner with my wife afterwards." And then what had to happen, he called his wife. He said, "Honey, I'm going to be late. We have to do this over again. I'll see you later." And he hung up, and then they ordered pizza and cookies and potato chips, anything he could stuff himself with to settle down his stomach. You have to do the whole thing over again. It was like another extra 2 hours. But he was just as good, if not better. He's just one of those guys who can read anything, and you want to animate that. It's just his a way with words, the way he shapes certain sentences. He can make, I keep saying dialogue that is poorly written, and not so he can make it sound extraordinary, So one more last story about him and Scar. So this is years later. The Lion King had come out, was a big success. And maybe it was like 4 years later or something like that. And I had arranged lunch with Don Hahn, the producer of The Lion King. And we went to Burbank. There's an English pub there. And we were sitting inside, and we were just catching up what was going on in the industry. And who would walk in? But Jeremy Irons. And he walks in, goes to the counter and gets his ashtray, and then he walks out. And we're going, "That's Jeremy Irons." And so we said, "Well, let's finish our meal, and then we're going to talk to him," because he was sitting outside. He was reading a script with an acting partner, and they were doing a performance of Camelot at the Hollywood Bowl that weekend. So he was just taking it easy and rehearsing a little bit that afternoon. And so Don and I went outside and just said hi, and it was great to work on Lion King together. And he said, "Well," this is him talking. He says, "Well, I don't know, because maybe I didn't do a great job with Scar." And we were like, "What are you talking about? You were amazing." And he says, "Well, I'm still waiting, but because I have not been offered another animated role. Scar is the only one." And then it dawned on me. I said, "You know what? Why? Because any other character you would take on, you would sound like Scar. Because your voice is so familiar now to the whole world. And I think that's the reason, because your voice is so distinctive." And he was kind of like, because he wanted to do more animated stuff, but nobody had offered him. And it's really true. There were not one, but 2 National Geographic documentaries on prides of lions. And I remember watching them, and they had hired Jeremy Irons to narrate them. So even watching this live-action documentary on African lions, it sounded like Scar is telling you the story. It kind of fit, but his voice is so distinctive that it'll just always, he will always be known for that. And even when he shows up in talk shows or when he's promoting a new movie or a TV show, the host always says, "And here's Jeremy Irons, who you all know from this and this and that movie." And of course, he's known for the voice of Scar. That's just a huge part of him. And but it can be a handicap, when you're that good and that distinctive. Lips around his mouth. As I was studying real lions, because they all have these leathery lips, I wanted to include that. So now this is done. Don't look it up. yeah, this is a bit of a challenge for you guys.
Oh wait, it's Mickey Mouse.
Not good enough. No. Who said that? That's it. That's it. You can tell by the teeth. And most people don't even know that short because it's not really shown widely. But so we did this animated short based on the old Frankenstein story with Mickey Mouse, and I think it's our best ones that we did, our group of people. And yeah, we had a blast doing it. So here the challenge was to have the most beloved animated character, you know, wholesome looking character, and rough him up, you know, for this Frankenstein role that he was about to take on. So we did the ears all like torn up, like that. We gave him these sort of Frankenstein type fingers. I mean, how much fun can you have doing something like this? And I think the company, well, let's say it like it is. But the company, when they saw the finished short, when they saw this, they were a little afraid of it. Now we argued, look, he's turning into the nice Mickey in the end. You know, it all ends well, but they just didn't feel comfortable promoting this image of Mickey Mouse, and which is a shame because it is a very funny short and really well done with a group of French artists. We did this in Paris. This is the same group of people, by the way, who did the Goofy movie. So Disney Feature Animation saw them do the Goofy movie, which was done for Disney Television, and they said, these guys are really good. They should work for us, for Disney Feature Animation. So they kind of robbed them, and the way we did that, we went over doing this one short with them called Runaway Brain, and then they were part of Disney Feature Animation after that, and they did sequences for Hunchback, for Hercules, and for Tarzan. An amazing group of artists. It was really sad when they closed that place down. It was yeah. Okay, let's give it a little bit more. I think we even did this. Yeah. Okay, one little story, since we have a little time, about working in France with French artists on Runaway Brain. I know some of you might have already heard me telling this story. It's just another one of those unique things that come out of nowhere. So I animated the opening scenes where he's playing the video game with the witch and Dopey. I don't know if you saw this. It's really funny. And then he's so focused on his video game that he forgot his anniversary with Minnie. So Minnie comes in the door and she says, "Mickey Mouse, you forgot our anniversary." Something like that. And that was animated by a French animator. And she did a good job and showed me the pencil test. And so it was yeah, "Mickey Mouse, you forgot our anniversary." And I looked at the pencil test and she was not really opening her mouth. It was all like in here. And she was saying, "Mickey Mouse, you forgot our anniversary." And we're like, why did you just do it all here so small in front? And bless her, forgive me mocking French people. And she said, well, she spoke a little English. She says, animators look in the mirror, and I looked in the mirror and I just drew what I saw in the mirror, you know. And I said, don't do that, you know. It's not helpful in this case. He said, your next dialogue scene, have an American person here at the studio say those words and watch how the mouth gets really big, you know, anniversary, you know, and do that. But she just kind of did it all sort of the French way, you know. Sorry again.